and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm so glad you've joined us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, in ways that get us imagining, in ways that get us inspired to do something. And some of the greatest doers that I know are from Rise, and I'm going to have my co-host, Asma Mohammed, tell us about Rise and how you co-produce this show with us.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Asma Mohammed, and I am the Advocacy Director at Reviving the Islamic Sisterhood for Empowerment, or RISE. So our work is to amplify the voice and power of Muslim women, and we do that through civic engagement, leadership development, and storytelling. So we wanted to tell stories about really incredible Muslim women, which is why we invite guests that are doing incredible work in the community. Funny story, a few years back, I remember we were talking about what we wanted to see RISE doing in the next 3 years. And one of the things was we wanted to be on a radio show. So we started, we found Lori. I don't remember how the meeting even happened.
Well, it was fun because Nashina has a mutual friend of ours.
Okay.
And Peter called me and said, this woman's incredible. She is doing incredible work, Peter Bailey. Mm-hmm. And he said, you got to meet her. And so, okay, we'll meet. Have her come to the station. She came to the station and she started talking about her vision. And then I pulled the president in and the owner. I said, you got to meet this woman. She's amazing. She is just amazing. I want to do a full series with her. And I just met her. Mm-hmm. And Chad was like, oh, okay. So he comes out and he's like afterwards going, they could do a whole show. They are that talented. And I said, well, I want to support that. Let's, start off with a series, and I will support doing radio shows with them. He's going, yeah, but, I think someday they're going to have a show of their own. I said, well, we'll work towards that. So I have the privilege to work with Rise and work with all the wonderful people that are supporting and all the great guests. You have always brought amazing guests to talk about the good work and to spread awareness, which is so important.
And we have a breadth of experience. I mean, today we have Maria Nizami in the studio, and we'll learn a little bit more about her. But, I mean, think of all the people we've brought in. We brought in people who run for city council and won their election.
Wasn't that great, St. Louis?
Yeah, so if you were here last time around, we brought Nadia Muhammad into the studio, and she won her election for city council in St. Louis Park, which was amazing. Just hearing her journey.
And she was the first Muslim woman.
She was the first Muslim woman, and she's under 25. Like, how incredible.
And she's so bright, and she's so talented,
amazing.
And she's, right on target with what are the things that need to be brought to the council.
Exactly.
I was so impressed
and
with
really
her.
representing community.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do. We want people to recognize that these narratives that they hear about Muslim women from the media are not always, and I know I say the media as it's this big monolith.
With this show as an exception.
But I think that what AM 950 does is that it, reclaims the voices of regular, everyday Minnesotans who are doing really cool work, which is why we wanted to partner with you. So we're happy we're here.
And I'm so thrilled to have you as a partner. And you are going to be doing 6 shows this year.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking a lot about the elections.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of work to do. It's funny because we were supposed to, a lot of things have happened this year already, but I remember at the end of 2019, we're like, 2020 is almost here. And then the week the 2020 began, everything just started going crazy.
Yeah.
And it already feels like November's right around the corner.
It's hard to believe that it is February.
Yes.
Because I mentally feel like we're in 2021.
I know.
We've had a year's worth of incredible issues.
Oh my God.
That a week feels more like a month, politically wise.
I feel like we're already halfway through the year. Ask any organizer that's on the ground doing this work and they will tell you they are tired already.
Which brings me, this is an important show we're doing today.
Yeah.
Tell me what the topic is that you are most wanting to focus on.
That our focus is on civic engagement.
Yes.
We want Muslim women and people everywhere to really just get involved and show that their voices matter, which is why we're on Voice of Minnesota. But we want to showcase the talents of Muslim women who are really involved in their communities through civic engagement. So we invited Maria Nizami because she was a delegate in 2018, went on to the state convention, caucused and did these things that seem really I think unattainable to a lot of us, and for us to show up in places where not a lot of Muslim women are represented is hard, and she still did it.
So Maria, what was your very first interaction with Rise?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. My very first interaction with Rise was at a fundraising event, and Nushina was there and Asma, and they encouraged me to attend the first, it was a Rise conference event. And at the time, I think I was busy, but I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go and, see what Rise is about, because I had heard so many great things about Rise as an organization.
And just to make sure our audience knows what Rise stands for, that's Reviving the Islamic Sisterhood for Empowerment.
Yes. And so when I went to the first conference, I was just blown away at the sisterhood, at the wonderful woman there, the networking, its organization. It was like a wedding. It was beautiful. And
it's highly, highly organized.
Oh my gosh.
And every time I'm around Rise women, there is so much love.
Yes.
That's the powerful bind. There's something that pulls, and they embrace everyone, which I am thrilled to be part of that embrace.
That's true.
The conference, I'm going to give a quick plug, is on March 7th. This year it's a Saturday. We're almost sold out, so buy your tickets soon. But we have Linda Sarcer coming. Dr. Jamila Kareem is coming. It's going to be incredible. We take the details very seriously. So, for example, we even put lotas in the bathroom for people to we look like a Muslim wash,
Nice.
for people to get ready for prayer. We have a prayer space. It's like really centering Muslim women in a way that we don't feel happening everywhere else.
You feel comfortable. It's just amazing to be around such wonderful women, scholars, women from like all walks of life, doctors, engineers, great mothers, and you come together, wonderful food, great entertainment, and it's like going to a wedding where you just want all women and just
And you're
relax.
learning things.
Yeah, exactly. And the workshops, you learn so much from them.
One of the things that Nashina did share with us when I first met her was the isolation that Muslim women can feel. And then when the media does portray a unflattering and untrue representation, that having the opportunity to come together and celebrate who you are,
Yes.
and to support engagement, that's really exciting.
It is. Yeah, one thing we talk about a lot is that our work is also rooted in health equity. That when Muslim women feel engaged and connected to community, they're more willing to get out of their houses. They're more willing to go and meet people, and that actually impacts health outcomes. That when people are like stuck in their homes, when they're not engaging, they are not healthy. Right? So we want to encourage people to be involved in the community and then start to see themselves reflected in that community.
Making connections.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So your first opportunity was to go to the conference. You were blown away. You loved everything about it. Great speakers, great folks that you could get to know and have friends. What happened then?
Well, then I just decided to, be part of it. But at first, I wasn't a board member. Just, I tried to attend different functions that they had and learn more about it and spread the word. Because what a great organization, a great platform to bring the Muslim women to be able to voice, give out their voices and the Shiro, where they...
I love Shiros. And those are heroes, women
Yep.
heroes that you designate.
Yes.
And tell their story.
Yep, they're Muslim Shiros of Minnesota. So we talk about, reclaiming the narrative of Muslim women in Minnesota, highlighting the work that they're doing. So,
Were you a Shiro?
As a mother, I want to be a Shiro,
there you
for
go.
my kids. And so whatever I do, sometimes people are like, well, why do you take on so many things? I'm like, because I'm a role model for my children. If I tell my kids that I can do something and they see it, they're going to do more than what I did. And so really, we're their first role models.
and you bring your kids to our events. Maria brings her daughter. I remember you brought Nazifa to the Day at the Capitol.
Yes.
And that was when I think you had just started getting really involved with Rise.
Yes.
Which was so cool to see. And I was like, you can bring your kids to this, which is awesome. And you brought your son to events, right? It's just like making it into a cultural shift.
Right. And they learn so much from it. And I don't know if we're going to discuss the caucusing, but that's...
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I brought my children into that, too.
Oh, how wonderful for them to see and to be a part of. It's a long process, but to be in the midst of seeing politics in action and being able to voice. I wanted to make sure that I shared with the audience your vision for RISE, which I've always found very powerful. We imagine a future where all Muslim women are connected, related, celebrated, and emboldened. And that's where change takes place.
Yeah.
It takes place one person at a time, coming together, supporting each other. Your story, which is also up on your website, is Reviving Sisterhood has become a platform to amplify the voice and power of Muslim women, showcasing the change makers, trailblazers, and leaders having social justice impact in our society. And I want to thank you for making that impact.
Yeah, and I think even over the past few years, 2016 changed everything. It changed the game for anyone who's been an organizer. And I think we were feeling like we weren't connected, and we wanted to kind of rebuild and revolutionize the ways we were doing things. And so we started to get connected. RISE was already around, but then I think after that people were like, holy crap. We got to get up. We got to do something.
We got to do something together.
And now, more people are showing up because they're seeing all that's wrong with systems that aren't serving them. They're not seeing themselves, and they want to make a difference. So we see people like Maria stepping up and saying, like, I'm going to do something because this impacts my children. This impacts their future and their present as well.
And they're going to see firsthand what politics is.
Absolutely.
Well, for more information, I want folks to take a look at their website. It is revivingsisterhood.org. And I also want to do a shout out to our sponsor for today's show. Just wonderful, wonderful people. They're Clockwork, and Clockwork is sponsoring all the RISE shows. And whether it's consulting or coding, Clockwork helps clients thrive in the digital era. They are digital thinking for digital needs. Think of Clockwork as an extension of your team, and they help to create human-centered outcomes with technology. So we appreciate all the wonderful work that Clockwork is doing to support these great shows with these great women. And we'll be right back, and we'll learn more about some elections coming up and how you can get involved. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'm Peter Ratcliffe from the Eastside Freedom Library, and I'd like to tell you about an historic place on Payne Avenue. Brunson's Pub is a place where history and passion are a part of every detail, starting with the menu. The Payne-Phelan neighborhood arose from Dakota people who lived here for hundreds of years, and pioneering immigrant communities, Irish, Swedes, German, and Italians, who made the East Side their home. More recently, waves of new residents from Asia, Latin America, and Africa continue the rich immigrant history and are revitalizing the community's cultural life and economy. Come experience Brunson's Pub at 956 Payne Avenue and grab a discounted gift card when you mention that you're an AM 950 listener or a supporter of the Eastside Freedom Library. Be sure to check out brunsonspub.com.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Did you realize that Drink in the Style is available on iTunes, Google Play, and pretty much every other podcast platform out there? You can listen to past episodes of Drink in the Style, or maybe download our really cool martini glass graphic, or just listen to your favorite episode again and again. But if you do, I need to ask you for a quick favor. Hop online and give us a 5-star rating. It helps others find the show and also boosts my fragile ego. Drink in the Style. It's a great way to kill Sundays, or really anytime at all.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
The Connections Radio Show. And we're glad you joined us today. We're having a great show co-produced with Rise. Rise is a fabulous group that has been doing work with us. We're going on our third year of, if you look back.
Dang.
Yeah, because the first year we did it at the end of the year.
Yeah, look at us.
2018.
Yeah.
And then we did 4 shows in 2019.
Yeah.
And now we're doing 6 shows.
Yeah, because we are overachievers.
You are wonderful people. You are wonderful co-producers. You are wonderful partners. And I love working with you all. And my co-host is Asma Mohammed.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Always happy to be here.
And we have a wonderful guest, Maria Nizami.
Thank you for having me.
Maria's going to be sharing about her experiences in working in politics. And we talked a little bit about it in the first segment, about how you caucused and you've brought your kids and you've done great stuff. And we're going to be talking about caucuses. We're going to be talking about agenda, looking at gender equitable solutions. And we're looking at youth focus in our segment. And if we don't get to all of it, we'll just move it into the next segment. But that's our goal for our conversation in this segment. I also want to do a shout out to Clockwork, a great organization that's supporting all the work that Rise is doing and has supported their 6 shows this year.
Yay.
And they do digital solutions.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful.
Good people.
Really good people.
With hearts in absolutely the right place.
Hearts of gold.
And we're very grateful. Thank you, Clockwork. And if you have questions about Clockwork, go and give them a call. Pick up the phone. And if you have a digital need, they're there for you. And they have very creative solutions. Yes. So getting back to our caucus and legislative agenda.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. So caucuses are on February 25th this year. I'm not ready. I mean, I am. I'm ready, but I'm also terrified because so many things are happening. 2018 caucuses were huge. Maria, you were involved, and we got, I think, over 150 Muslim women involved, which was amazing in Minnesota.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it was so cool. I remember people showed up at the Blaine caucus or at the convention and were like, I learned through your caucus training, your online caucus training, or I came to yours in person. That's why I'm here today. So just see
And 2018 was the year of the women.
Yes, we got a lot of stuff done.
We kicked butt.
We did.
In 2018.
Yes.
And I want the same in 2020.
I do
year.
too. Yeah, but I mean, if you have never been to a caucus before, it's basically like a neighborhood meeting with your political party.
That
Right?
could last for hours.
Yes. It is.
Be
it's
prepared with
crazy.
stamina.
Yeah, it is. It can be really long, or I mean, depending on where you live, it can be really intense. But I mean, Maria and I actually live pretty close to each other in the suburbs, and our caucuses tend to be relatively short and sweet. We get stuff done pretty quickly, and they're just caucuses happen a few minutes away from where you live. It's a neighborhood meeting, so it's going to be people that you've seen before, mostly people you know, and if they're people you haven't met before, you're making some new connections.
I think it's important. Some people don't do caucuses. They hear about it, but they have no idea what happens. And there's me who has done them, and I have been through very long ones.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for folks to understand that there's a process, and it is organized. It isn't just a free-for-all. That there's an initial vote, And then there's the secondary vote.
Yeah.
If you, so you want to talk a little bit about how that takes place and your experience in the caucus?
Yes. So 2018 was different. So a law was passed that changed the way that we caucus. So this year we are going to caucus, get some delegates together. We're going to pass the resolutions, but we are actually not voting for the presidential candidate or during caucuses, which in 2016, if you caucus, things have changed a lot.
Yeah.
This year you have to vote. You have to actually go and vote. You're not doing a straw poll anymore. You're not just like writing the person's name
Right.
on a little sheet of paper and giving it to your precinct chair. You are having to go and vote either at your county offices, or if you'd vote on the day of, which is March 3rd, you go to your regular precinct location. So if you are, confused and you're like, I don't know where to caucus, look up Caucus Finder. And then if you don't know where you're going to vote early, just type in mnvotes.org. That's mnvotes.org. And it'll give you all the information that you need about where to go. Yeah.
And with that, are you delegates?
Are you going to be a delegate? Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about 2018?
Sure. So for me, I was one of those people who would vote sometimes. Most of the time I didn't. Until 2016, when President Trump got elected, it was like a black cloud came over our home, our community. And it was because we were getting targeted. As Muslim, we were, sidelined, and just, all kinds of horrible things were said. And so I came from Afghanistan in search of freedom when the Soviet invasion happened. So I came here at the age of 7 and found freedom in the U.S. And now that when Trump got elected, my daughter and my kids felt really scared. And as a mother, that's the worst feeling, to know that now Trump is gonna give voice to the bullies, to act out, and I couldn't protect my kids. I felt, like I should, and so then I was encouraged by our community leaders to go and caucus. And so I joined Faith in Minnesota, where they taught me how to caucus. And from there, my daughter and I became Senate delegates. And it was just an eye-opening experience, because we realized that our voice really does matter, that our votes do matter. And
What did they teach you? What was the key takeaway that they taught you for the caucus?
so they told us, this is the experience you're going to go through, and the meeting's going to be kind of like this, and don't give up, and just stay till the end and raise your hand, and so they trained us, with the whole experience of what it could be like, and in the end, we both became Senate delegates. Later, I became a state delegate as well, and went to the state convention. You see all kinds of things in politics, and the best thing for my daughter and I was when we went canvassing. We would knock on somebody's door, a mother who had never voted. And when you told her how important it was for her, it was like her eyes brightened up. And then she would go and educate all the other women in her community, and they would all go vote together.
It's communal.
Yes,
right?
yes. So, we had such great outcomes in 2018 with all the people.
And having you give them the confidence that this is a good idea, and that this is important.
Right.
And that they have the ability, and that their vote will make a difference.
Right. Definitely, yeah, because you can't vote and say I want to better my community. You have to try your best, and so yeah, it was a wonderful experience to encourage others, and it was a great learning experience for my daughter as well.
Yeah, and we were both at the state convention, so it was so cool to see how many Muslim women are there. We had a whole prayer space for ourselves, halal food.
Yes.
I mean, all the works. It was incredible just to see the power we were building together.
Well, we're going to need to take our legislative agenda with the gender equity and our youth focus and have it in our next segment.
Perfect.
So for more information, please go to revivingsisterhood.org. You can also check us out on connectionsradiomn.com, and you can go to the Reviving Sisterhood. There's our co-producers, our community partners, we feature them there as well. So give us a look. Check us out and stay with us, because we're going to be talking more about politics and how everyone can get involved.
Tom Hartman here, letting you know how you can go solar with All Energy Solar, even way up north in Minnesota. Lots of people ask them, isn't Minnesota too cloudy for solar? No. The truth? For one thing, Minneapolis gets nearly as much sun each year as Houston, Texas. But it isn't just about how much sun you get. It's also about having access to great local incentive programs that make solar affordable. Learn what your options are to save with solar and visit allenergysolar.com today.
I'm Peter Ratcliffe from the Eastside Freedom Library, and I'd like to tell you about an historic place on Payne Avenue, Brunson's Pub. Experience history and passion through the delicious menu, reflecting the East Side's diversity. The choices are limitless: salads, sandwiches, burgers, and shareable plates. Visit Brunson's Pub at 956 Payne Avenue and grab a discounted gift card when you mention that you're an AM 950 listener or a supporter of the Eastside Freedom Library. Be sure to check out brunsonspub.com.
Hey, I guess we found a new name for our show.
Really? What's the new name?
Pilot's Progressive Party.
How did you ever come up with that?
Pilot's our name and progressive fun is our game.
Well, what's that about?
It's a 1-hour news show with progressive guests and information you normally don't hear on the radio.
Well, that's so exciting. I have a few ideas for guests myself.
I know they'll be progressive.
Wednesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on AM 950.
The progressive voice of Minnesota.
Finding the right lawyer is incredibly stressful. It can be tough to know even where to start. Don't just run an internet search for an attorney. Start with the Minnesota Lawyer Referral and Information Service, an enhanced program of the Hennepin and Ramsey County Bar Associations. They'll connect you with over 200 thoroughly vetted, qualified attorneys practicing in over 50 areas of law. Call 612-752-6699 or go to mnlawyerreferral.org. The right call for the right lawyer.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Army National Guard. Aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Get a head start on this year's Blue State Ball by having dinner with me, Tom Hartman, on Saturday, February 22nd at Crooner's Lounge and Supper Club. It's your chance to discuss with me the big issues facing the country in a small, intimate setting. You can guarantee your spot at the February 22nd dinner by pre-purchasing a ticket for $200. Tickets are very limited and will go fast. So reserve your spot now by calling 952-946-8885. More details at am950radio.com.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Eric Nelson. Today will be partly sunny with a high near 35. By tonight, increasing clouds with a low around 10. Sunday, partly sunny with a high near 23 and a 50% chance of snow at night with a low around 18. Monday, the snow's likely to continue with a high of 32 and a low of 12.
EatLocalMinnesota.com's restaurant of the week is The Great Wall. The Great Wall restaurant has been providing a delicious mix of both Szechuan and Peking dishes since 1981. Check out their location just north of 50th and France in Edina.
On Connections Radio Show. And we're so glad you're here. And we're having a wonderful time. This show is co-produced with Rise, a wonderful group that is all about reviving the Islamic Sisterhood for Empowerment. I have my co-host today, who is brilliant and leads the advocacy area of Rise.
Hi.
And in fact, yesterday, may I say that you hung out with Bernie's wife?
I did. Yeah. Rise is nonpartisan, but if you want to check out my personal views, follow me on Twitter. Asma Resists.
This is Asma Muhammad, who is my co-host from Rise, and we have a wonderful guest today, Maria Nazami. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so glad to have you both here. Now, in our last segment, we didn't get to some of the things we were going to talk about. So I'd love to have us talk today about the legislative agenda and looking at gender equitable legislative agenda, your issues, and the day at the Capitol. And I'd also like to talk about the youth focus. My guess is you're wanting to get the vote out with youth.
Oh, we want to do so much more.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So first of all, let's get into the legislative agenda. And Maria can share a bit about this as well. But every year we bring Muslim women to the Capitol, as many times as we can. We've been doing this since kind of the inception of RISE. But since last year, we've been doing what we call the Muslim and Jewish Women's Day at the Capitol. So we partner with the National Council of Jewish Women, and we come together to show folks that we are really focused on gender equity, that we want to make a change in Minnesota for all Minnesotans, and that our work is really based in our connection to each other. So our 3 legislative agenda items this year are the same. They just we continue to work on them. The first you've heard me talk about a million times.
And you may talk some more in the future.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to tell you guys about how legislative session is going eventually. But we are working on eliminating the statute of limitations for reporting sexually violent crimes. We are working on bringing menstrual equity into our schools, so making sure pads and tampons are readily available for free for our students so they can go to school and feel supported. And then finally, we want to change the way hate crimes are analyzed by our state, the way that they're reported, the way that they're tracked, because currently the system, the bombing that happened at Dar al-Farouk, for example, the FBI took it on, but Bloomington police didn't list it as a hate crime because it wasn't it's not in the law the way that it should be listed. So
how would you like to have things listed so more reporting, more accurate reporting takes place?
First thing I think is that our police officers need training around kind of understanding around what a hate crime is, right? Mm-hmm. And when people are saying something is a hate crime, analyzing that, because again, our police officers some of them are trained really well, but they're not lawyers. They're not legislators. Mm-hmm. And they need to know more about how the community is feeling. Mm-hmm. So the bill that we're working on right now would require the Department of Human Rights to look into the cases based by, case by case. Mm-hmm. So we want to work on that. There's a lot of different things that are going on, but all of these bills are authored by incredible people in the House, and then we're getting Senate companions for them as well. So exciting, crazy. But yeah, in the past we have, every year we survey Muslim women and we ask them, what do you want us to work on? And Maria, who has been to Days at the Capitol with us, can you talk a little bit more about your experience?
Sure. So last year when we went, it was a joint partnership with our Jewish sisters, and a lot of the representatives, elected officials that we spoke to were very happy that we went and spoke to them regarding these issues that are important to us. And some are like, I never thought of it, that way. And so it was a great experience. I'm going to encourage many of our other sisters to come and join us, to let them know what is important to us.
Do you feel like it was difficult to show up that day even?
No. Well, at first it can be, but I had been there before, so for me, not. But again, I brought my daughter, and it was great to see other young ladies and all of us come together. It was a wonderful event, and it's going to happen again next week.
In a couple days.
Yeah.
Tuesday, February 18th, we are going to be back at the Capitol at 10 a.m. So we'll rally in the press conference room. We have a lot of stuff happening that day. I'm also bringing my students. So when you talk about youth focus and I want to do more, yes, I want my students to vote, but I also want them to be at the Capitol. I want them to feel like this is about them, right? So they are ready to talk about every single one of these issues. They are, passionate about them, and that makes me excited.
It's important. I just heard a really interesting story about how the Latino community has been working in Nevada with youth, preparing youth for the vote in 2020. Mm-hmm. In that their average age is 19 in the Latino community. In the white community, the average age is 54. Oh. So realizing this and realizing there's going to be a huge swell of voting for the youth in 2020, they have been preparing for the last 4 years to develop that youth leadership. And they're very savvy voters.
Yes.
And that we're going to see something really interesting, I believe, in this election in Nevada coming up.
Oh, yes.
And I believe the same thing is true in your community.
Yeah.
How can you keep bringing up leaders that can take on roles and responsibilities and understand the issues and not be intimidated? because we know that there can be voter intimidation. How do we
Right.
stand up for that?
Absolutely. And I think we've also seen that, the president doesn't want youth to be involved.
Right.
Right? Anytime youth get involved, he tries to sideline them or make fun of them. He made fun of Greta Thunberg, right, for her involvement in the climate change activism. And we want our youth to feel empowered. We want them to feel connected to issues that matter to them. We're not going to decide for them. So when I talk to my students about the issues that they cared about, like, these are things that they brought up. They brought up the fact that at their high school, like, girls have their hijabs ripped off, right? They brought up the fact that they, sometimes it's really, really hard to show up because there's nobody who looks like them that teaches them. So all of these issues are coming up, and we want them to be the ones who are taking them on. We don't want to just, like, co-opt their movement space and say, this is why we care, right? We want them to show up because it's important to them, to their families, to their communities. So my students I'm so excited to bring them. I mean, if they're watching, I don't know if they are. Some of them might be. Some of the early risers on Saturday mornings.
And if they're not, they can listen to our podcast.
Yes, you can. Or you can watch this video a little later. But I'm astounded by how much more involved they are than I was at that age.
And
I
isn't
think
that inspiring?
It is.
It's because of women like you who encourage, our youth.
I'm all right. I try.
Well, with that, I want to bring up developing the soft and hard skills is really rooted in Islam trainings and the workshops that you do. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So in Islam, like Maria and I can talk a little bit more about this, we follow the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And hadith are just like stories, things that were told about him. And all of these hadith have been authenticated over years and years by, scholars who were like, who was there? I mean, how many people said that they heard this? Anyways, we follow the hadith, and in the hadith, what we learn is that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would lead by example. So anytime at Rise we want people to do something, we try it out first. We don't just say, show up, we're all going to do this for the first time together. we
Link arms and hope.
Exactly.
Cross our fingers.
We model the behavior because that's what the Prophet, peace be upon him, did. I mean, when he wanted people to pray for the first time, he did it first, right? When he wanted people to make tawaf or like walk around the Kaaba in Mecca for the first time, he did it first. When he wanted people to travel to Medina, he did it first. He was taking those first steps. And so we are rooting our work in our faith, so people know that Islam is going to be at the basis of everything that we do. Muslims, I think a lot of the times we feel afraid to practice our faith really fully and really publicly, and especially Muslim women. We have, 70% of hate crimes against Muslims are targeted against Muslim women. Because look at us, we look Muslim, right?
We have the scarf.
Yeah, exactly. So especially hijabis, like we're facing that kind of hate. But what we want people to know is that our faith, even back then, there was persecution of Muslims back around the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and he still persevered. He still asked people to show up even when it was hard, and it was because there was so much tyranny, because there was this oligarchy, where there are rich people who are holding down black and brown people that they felt were lesser than them. And we don't want to see that anymore. We're seeing it right now, and it's time to rise up. Islam was a revolution when it started, right? So we want another revolution, right? We want a people's revolution.
Based in love as well,
Absolutely.
which I don't think gets enough discussion.
Right.
There is so much focus on love in the Islamic faith that I'm very moved by it.
Yeah.
And you can feel it in the presence of Rise women.
Yeah, and you don't hear about that in again the monolithic media.
Right.
Yeah, that's why Rise is such a beautiful organization. You feel that love, that sisterhood, that bond, and so it makes you want to help each other and help the community, specifically our sisters.
In our last segment, we talked a little bit about the conference. I want to give another plug so folks know about the conference and when to sign up and when it takes place.
Yeah. So, Maria, do you remember what it is?
Yeah, March 7th.
Yes.
So please definitely come in. You guys will be amazed at what a beautiful conference it is. I'm going to encourage all my lady friends to come.
Yeah.
My daughter will be coming.
Oh,
As always,
yay!
she loves it. Yeah. And we're really looking forward to such a great conference where you can learn, from all the networking, from all the great workshops.
We have dance parties too.
Yeah.
It's a Muslim woman only space.
It is.
Can you share a little bit about what that feels like?
it's great because you're just sitting there and here's your friends from all over, like all the lady friends from Minnesota, people who you've never met, you meet them. There was even like some female cops who were Muslim. That was the first time seeing that. I was like, oh, can I take a picture? I love it. And you just come together and you learn from each other. You learn together at these workshops. You have fun with entertainment. Entertainment from last time we had them from what country?
They were from England.
England, yeah. So just a wonderful place to learn, bond, network.
Yeah.
And you are actively wanting more Muslim women to attend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is your special outreach, that you want folks to feel warm, comfortable, invited, engaged, and give me one thing that you'd want to convince someone to attend.
I will say that it is the only Muslim women's space that I feel really myself in. So I went to the conference before I became a part of staff on RISE. And I remember walking up to Noshina and didn't really know who she was. And I said, this is the most diverse conference I've ever been to. And she had tears in her eyes. And a few months later, this job opened up, and I was like, I want to work for them.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting? It was like perfect for you.
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea at the time, honestly. But we make a space that's really safe, really comfortable for people to learn together. And all of our workshops are led by local Muslim women who you can reach out to, who are talented and incredible.
It's eye-opening because
that would be your one thing, is you want to make sure that women knew that how powerful it is because it's eye-opening.
Eye-opening, yeah. They realize their potential, that they can make themselves better than ever.
And to sign up, the website is revivingsisterhood.org. Is there a link to sign up?
Yep. So as soon as you open it up, there should be a pop-up that asks you to sign up.
Well, stay with us. We've got lots more to talk about, and we're glad you're here. And we're glad that we're also on Facebook. We're on 2 different Facebooks. We're on AM 950 Facebook, and we're also on the Reviving Sisterhood
Glad
Facebook.
To be here.
And we're delighted. And we also want to do a shout-out to Clockwork. Thank you, Clockwork, for all the support you do and all the creative solutions you have in the digital age. If you've got a digital question, they're the place to go.
Thank you, Clockwork.
Yes, thank you. And stay with us. We'll be right back. Clockwork is an experience design and technology agency, which means they help transform businesses around the globe by connecting people, processes, and technology. They bridge the gap between marketing and technology to put people at the heart of digital solutions, transforming how your customers interact with your brand. Clockwork's technology consulting, experience design, and software development expertise makes them a full-service digital partner to help you design your customer experience, build an app, or connect all of your digital properties into one seamless system. If you're in need of major tech updates but aren't sure where to start, they'll help you figure that out too. To learn more about how they've helped other businesses make digital transformation less painful, visit clockwork.com/radio. Clockwork. Digital done right.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Join us for New Beginnings, Saturday mornings at 11, brought to you in part by Vision Loss Resources.
My favorite meal of the day is breakfast, and for morning vittles, I head to Milton's, 36 and Douglas in Crystal. My favorite is either the rib scrambler, scrambled eggs with ribs, portobello mushrooms, jalapenos, and pepper jack cheese, or the steak and eggs. My wife loves the pepper jack creamy grits and the stuffed avocados with poached eggs cradled in avocado halves. The kids love the French toast or the stuffed French toast filled with fruit and cream cheese. Top it off with coffee done my way from the Milton's Coffee Bar, and I'm ready for the day. Breakfast is waiting for you at Milton's, 36 and Douglas in Crystal.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station has worked with Barbara from WYSIWYG Web Design for years on everything from logo to print design, and especially for developing our website. She does great work and is great to work with, listening to what our goals and design ideas were while offering new, innovative ideas to create the website we are proud of today. Barbara made sure she understood our station, our goals, and our mission before she started working on our site and made suggestions to help control the cost. Plus, she's friendly, which set us at ease. I recommend Barbara at WYSIWYG Web Design because I know she will deliver an attractive, professional website within the budget you have. She is a local independent business that specializes in helping other local businesses achieve their website and design goals. She can work with nearly any budget and create anything from simple sites to robust custom functionality. To find out more about the company AM 950 Trust, go to WYSIWYGWebDesign.com. Spelled out just like it sounds, WYSIWYGWebDesign.com.
We're so glad that you've been with us this morning, and we're heading into our last segment. I always get sad with our last segment when I'm with Rise. They're our co-producers today. Rise is a fabulous group, and I've got my co-host, Asma Mohammed.
Hi, everyone.
And
Good to be here.
And she leads the advocacy efforts. We also have Maria Nazami, who has been active with caucuses and Day at the Capitol and all kinds of cool things. We've learned about the agenda items that you feel most strongly about that you have gathered from your sisters. Mm-hmm. And today we're also going to talk a little bit more about the caucus process and some other cool things to wrap up our show in getting ready for voting. I want everyone to vote.
Yes.
And I want everyone to tell their friends to vote and tell their kids to vote. My effort this year is get out the vote.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We have the votes.
Very important, yeah.
We have the people.
We just have
need
to
them
show
get
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Show up and vote.
Yeah.
So tell me about caucus.
Yeah. Maria, what's the process? What happens when you show up? I know it's been some time.
Yeah. So we're going to go through it again. But my first experience, I was new, and in 2018, and you just show up to the meeting. And it's a gathering, and they go through some things at the beginning. They told us, you don't, the training said you don't get too involved, like in the first part, because it's not as important as till the end when they say who wants to, do the caucusing, which is the most important. And after, you raise your hand, they see how many people will be able to caucus. And I was chosen, my daughter was chosen as Senate delegates. And then from there, we had another meeting at a different location a few weeks later. And that's when the representatives are there. Mm-hmm. And they want to earn your vote. And so the Congress, the people who are running for Congress will call you from their cell phone and say, how can I get your vote? What is important to you? So my daughter
wow.
and I,
You're a bit Gordon. Yeah. Suddenly it's like, shoes on the other foot.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
So we would have meetings with them. Uh-huh. And you told them about what is important to you, to your family, to your community. And my daughter was there, so this is really cool. She learned about this whole process. And it's just, claiming your voice, building power through, justice for our community. Absolutely. And then later when I became Senate or state delegate, the lieutenant governor, she called me and saying, how can I get it? And I'm like, yeah, I love her so much. And I didn't know it was her. I'm like, yeah, I love the lieutenant, the gubernatorial candidate. She's amazing and Waltz is great. And then she goes, I am her. So till now, she's like, yeah, I remember our conversation.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's great. The connections you make, they see what is important to you. Mm-hmm. We had a meeting through Faith in Minnesota, Isaiah, and there was 1,700 people, and it was great to see that Waltz address Islamophobia. He said, I am against Islamophobia. And, in this huge audience.
To come out so powerfully.
Yes.
You felt heard, I bet.
Yes, definitely. And the greatest thing for me was that they chose my daughter to do a spoken word. Mm-hmm. And so she got standing ovation. And it just showed how at first when Trump was elected as president, she's like, Mom, let's leave this country. Let's go somewhere else. And that sadness that I felt then had transformed into, happiness.
Especially when you felt you came here, you learned freedom.
Right.
And then to have the fear of your child, expressing wanting to leave the country that you felt that you first learned what freedom meant, must have been just heartbreaking.
Definitely. I'm like, honey, this is our country, so this is the time to claim our voices.
And for those who may have just joined us, RISE stands for the Reviving the Islamic Sisterhood for Empowerment, and they do a wonderful job of bringing community together and having their voices be heard.
And taking action. I think more than anything. I mean, we talk a lot about how there are a lot of really cool efforts, interfaith efforts, efforts to get people to connect. But more than anything, we want people to take action, to reclaim the spaces that we were told were not made for us. Like at the Capitol, when we go to caucus. I mean, I think in 2018, so many Muslims showed up in Blaine, for example, that people were like, where were you guys a few years ago? Like, what happened?
RISE happened. And we're here.
So we had so many people that were like, I mean, there were people that said Muslims had never shown up before. We had more Muslim delegates at the state convention than ever. I mean, I thought it was just incredible to see and also to be a part of. And I think there are so many people this year who want to become national delegates to the national conventions that are happening. One of my friends, Jamila, who's watching, said she wants to bring 10 Muslim women to the national convention. So
I love it.
We want to see that too.
We want an update.
Yeah. So
the countdown's on.
I will give you all an update. But yeah, when you show up to caucus, I think more than anything, you feel compelled to get to know people in your neighborhood who are sharing your political party, right? That's like one level of connection that you're creating. And then you go on to pass resolutions. So resolutions then get passed on to your Senate district convention and then to your state convention as well, and then can even go on to the national convention. And then your party can adopt that platform completely as like a national entity. And then people are trying to become delegates. So when you want to become a delegate, you have to give like your reasoning for wanting to become one. I'm sure you remember that, Maria, that you kind of give your little stump speech and your elevator speech and say like, I want to become a delegate because I have never seen people who look like me in this political process, and I deserve to be here, right? So anything from that, you can totally take that speech if you want, by the way.
It actually works. It actually works. Yeah. When people realize your first time, they want to give you that platform, which is very nice.
Yeah.
I think more than ever, this year is very important to do canvassing to become a delegate, because in 2018, we had great results, but every legislation that would pass the House, it would get blocked by the Senate. So
there's
please
more work
go
to
out
do.
there, go out there and definitely be a delegate.
Yep.
And I want to make sure that I let folks know about your website, which is revivingsisterhood.org, for more information. I also want to do another thank you to Clockwork, a great organization. 3 good reasons to work with Clockwork, which is a digital thinking for the digital era, is that they look at results are everything, people first, and they're simple, easy to work with. So if you've got a digital problem, a digital solution is there for you with Clockwork. We just love them. And then finally, we want to make sure that folks know that you'll be back in March.
Yeah.
And in March, you're going to be on the show for March 28th, and it's coinciding with the upcoming International Muslims Women's Day and Census 2020.
Yes. And please don't forget, caucuses are when, Maria? February 25th.
February 25th.
And then election day is March 3rd. I need people out there.
Yes.
I need you to vote. I need your neighbors to vote, especially if they support, candidates.
Exactly. We want the vote out there, and that's going to be my cry throughout the year.
Yeah.
Every show I'm going to be encouraging. Not only do I want you to vote, I want you to be thinking about who are you going to take to vote or who are you going to ask to vote.